Its memory loss is surprising, but not altogether unexpected.
So you believe him when he says he doesn't remember anything from the night he was shot?
Why wouldn't I?
So a memory loss is surprising, but not altogether unexpected. But Detective Beck knows Howard better than the doc, because after all, she was his partner throughout season 1, and she saw how he conducted himself throughout many investigations. So the story with Beck and Howard is not over, because there is always one cop who discovers the truth, and this is something that I think will play a larger part as the season goes on, and we'll get to that later on in this video. But on Rock, Howard, and Kanan, Rock has made a continuous point about nobody getting between her and her son, and she's repeated this over and over again, whether it be to Symphony, Marvin, Howard, or Aunt Deb. And the more she says it, is the more I think there is one person who potentially could get between them, and that's Detective Howard. I've always said, although Kanan is Rock's biggest strength, this also combines with Kanan being Rock's biggest weakness, and this is why Kanan will always remain an ultimate weapon to use against his own mother, and this is what Howard said in season 1.
And sometimes when you want to get to the queen,
You gotta go through the prince.
Sometimes to get to the queen, you need to go through the prince. So throughout this video, I want you guys to keep that quote in the back of your minds, because it will paint a bigger picture by the end. But first off, the only reason Rock brought Kanan back to Queens is because she thinks it's safe for him to return. The word she's been getting is Detective Howard doesn't remember anything from the night he was shot. She referred it to amnesia or some shit, with his brain being all twisted up and barely being able to remember his own name. But another clue why Detective Howard is lying is because he made a point of how he came into the hospital with a ring and how he wasn't leaving without it.
Howard's memory loss is surprising, but not altogether unexpected.
So I do believe this was a very subtle hint that there is nothing wrong with his memory, because how can someone remember something so small in terms of a ring and not being able to remember who shot him? Again, it just further adds to the theory of him lying about his memory loss. But Rock wants Kanan by her side, and wherever she goes, he goes. But if she really wanted to do what's best for Kanan, she'd leave him in Virginia and have him enroll in a school over there, just like Aunt Deb offered. But she refused, because she sees Kanan as an extension of herself, and she has a specific position for everybody in her organization, and Kanan is no different. But Kanan is scared, the older Kanan's narration told us, as well as Symphony. And I do wonder what details did he give to Symphony on his journey down to Virginia, because he did hint at him and Kanan having a conversation. But why is Detective Howard faking a memory loss? And we can pin this down to a few reasons. If Howard fakes his memory loss, he puts a thorn in the investigation into his shooter, because he damn sure knows it was Kanan. And maybe he's thinking of getting justice himself, because after all, he knows how the streets work, but he also knows how Kanan doesn't have a mind of his own at his age, not in terms of shooting a cop anyway. He knew it was Rock who was brainwashing him, so it is natural to want revenge. Now we can also say he wants to keep Kanan safe, which is a continuation from the first point. He knows it was Rock who is the mastermind behind the shooting, and at the end of the day, Kanan is still his son. And he's also made a point to Detective Beck about how he's got a second chance at life and how he wants to do things a little different, basically being reborn. Whether that's bullshit, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, only time will tell. Maybe Howard also thinks he can still have a good influence on Kanan and save him from the street life and be a father. So his intentions are really unclear at this moment, but one thing Howard is doing is definitely doing a good job of making sure Kanan keeps him in his subconscious after he drove by and made sure Kanan saw him. This was very purposefully done by Howard, and keeping Kanan on his toes just to let him know, I'm still here until they meet again, which we all know they probably will at some point in the near future. But first he's gonna have a meeting with Rock, and he's the one who's called this meeting, not Rock, and there's two reasons. I think this is where he reveals how he saw Scrappy at the precinct, and how a detective described him as his CI. Whether Scrappy is a CI or his mom is yet to be seen, but I did break down how it points in the direction of Scrappy's mom having ties to a detective. But regardless of who it is, why is he telling Rock? What kind of game is Detective Howard playing? And it comes back around to him wanting to speak to Kanan and possibly having a relationship with his son. A favor for a favor. If he does this one favor for Rock, then maybe she'll let Kanan talk to him. But we all know what kind of mother Rock is. She's kept this secret for 15 years. years, and I don't think she's willing to reveal it and damage not just her reputation, but also Kanan's, especially because reputation is huge when it comes to power. Law 5 from the 48 Laws tells us how you can single-handedly destroy your enemy by ruining their reputation, and once you let out a bag full of rumors, it's hard for someone to come back from it. For example, once everybody finds out Kanan is the son of Detective Howard, not this great Rondell DEFCON Stark who people feared in the streets, then the game changes because nobody's a fan of cops on the streets. They're enemy number one, and that not only automatically puts a target on Kanan's back, but it reveals to everybody Rock was sleeping with a cop, and it also puts her reputation to shit. And maybe that's what Detective Howard wants. Maybe he wants to ruin Rock's reputation because then it has a knock-on effect throughout not just her entire organization, but with her relationships, and more specifically with Kanan. And regardless of whether it ruins Kanan, him being a cop allows him to give Kanan this level of protection in the streets that Rock can't give him. And maybe that's something he can offer Kanan when he speaks to him, but also get into his mind and really make it clear who his mother is and how she's been lying to him for all these years. Because as I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, the way to the queen is through the prince, and Kanan will be the cause of Rock's eventual downfall because he is the ultimate weapon. He is Rock's biggest weakness. We saw how she flourished and got queens on lock when Kanan was away for 3 months, but let's see what happens to her business now that Kanan is back, because once again, she's gonna have to constantly look over her shoulder and see what Kanan's up to. And where Detective Howard never saw it coming from Kanan, do you think Rock would ever see it coming from her own son? I don't think so, and this is the reason why Detective Howard could use the ultimate weapon to bring down the queen, by using the prince. But besides Howard, Rock and Kanan, Detective Beck will play a huge role in this situation. She witnessed Howard's obsession with Kanan in season 1, and this was further fueled when she saw the folder on Howard's desk. So ever so slowly, I think Detective Beck will find out Kanan is Howard's shooter, but the reason why he's faking his memory loss is for his own gain, and also because Kanan is his son. But what she does with this information, when and if she does find out, does she confront Howard? Does she build a case? Who knows? Either way, it does seem like she'll have a bigger part to play, and I likened her character to be the same as Cooper Sachs and Blanca Rodriguez, someone who knows the truth but could never prove it, someone who's always chasing the bad guys but failing at the last hurdle. And that's where I think Detective Beck fits into this story, besides her having an influence on Duke's decision to become a cop. But that's a breakdown of Detective Howard's game plan and why he's keeping quiet about the real shooter. And now we're gonna see Howard start to play some real chess, but can he checkmate the queen? That's the question. Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section on all things Detective Howard, Rock and Kanan. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.